Hi, my name is Emily and I'm your food ambassador. I'm here to help to demystify a lot of the ingredients and cooking techniques that are in the kitchen. I'm here to help you with whatever your questions may be to be able to find confidence in the kitchen. So, in my previous episode, I talked a little bit about preserved lemon and how to make preserved lemon because my friend, who's enjoying one of the home delivery grocery services, found that in the recipes that she was receiving, preserved lemon was one of the ingredients. Now, here's the preserved lemon that I just made in the previous episode. But let's talk a little bit about why would they include preserved lemon in the recipes at all. And while this is speculation because obviously I don't work for those guys, my thoughts are it's a great way to be able to impart a lot of flavor into a recipe without adding any fat. Now, we all know that it's really easy to add butter and cream and things like that, cheese, to a recipe, and it does give it tons of flavor. But sometimes you don't necessarily want to feel like you need a nap after you've had your dinner or your lunch, right? Right. And sometimes you just want something that tastes really bright and fresh, or maybe spicy, or maybe just different, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through some of the things that I use all the time to be able to bring different flavors into recipes that I make in my everyday home cooking that can maybe give you some inspiration for your own home. So what I've got here are things that I have pulled from my own cabinets. There's nothing here that's unusual that you can't go to your own grocery store and get on its own. Now, I do have a preserved lemon included here, and that's because, well, I was just talking about it and it's currently on my mind. So here's the preserved lemon. Go to the preserved lemon episode if you're interested in seeing what exactly this is, how you can use it, and how you can make it. So one of the things that I use most commonly, quite honestly, is mustard. I use loads of mustard as a way to be able to marinate meats, toss it with winter vegetables like broccoli and carrots to be able to give it really nice flavor whenever I'm roasting them in the oven. And right here I've got multiple kinds of mustard. In this dish I have Dijon mustard, which is a French mustard from the Dijon region. And then on the other side, I have stone ground mustard, which is much more Germanic in its mustardy goodness. But then, because I live in Britain, and what would I be if I didn't represent, I've also got Coleman's mustard. Coleman's mustard is fiery hot. It's like the horseradish of mustard, and it's so good, but it should be used sparingly. I particularly like to put this on Brussels sprouts with a little bit of diced bacon, roast them in the oven with some garlic and salt and pepper, a little bit of olive oil. It's good. Particularly good in the winter whenever you need a little zing right up your nose. Other things that I use a lot of are vinegars. So a nice vinaigrette with a white wine vinegar can be really great. But then also balsamic vinegar, which is from the Modena region of Italy. And balsamic vinegar is vinegar that has been aged inside of barrels like it's wine, which gives it a very specific flavor, but also whenever you cook it down and it can get very sweet and almost like a syrup. So those are also really great ways to be able to impart a very light and bright, tangy flavor to something. I tend to use this whenever I'm making anything with Italian spin on it. So again, roasted vegetables. You can even mix some of the vinegar with the mustard and it can be really, really nice. Which then of course leads me to garlic. Garlic is, it's garlic, right? It is the Swiss Army knife of the kitchen. And so what you can do here is you can mince it, you can roast it itself, and that can be a whole other episode. But using garlic whenever you are sauteing or roasting or frying your vegetables gives it a really nice woodsy flavor. And again, as you cook and slow cook garlic, it becomes a much more mellow flavor. Fresh garlic can be quite spicy, and it definitely will stay with you, remind you that you've had garlic all day. So then one of the other things is honey. Honey, again, is particularly if you're using root vegetables in the wintertime, carrots, butternut squash, rutabaga, turnips, etc., can be really nice with a little bit of honey. And sometimes I like to have a little bit of thyme or rosemary, those other winter herbs that can give a lot of flavor without imparting a lot of fat. And then one of the last things is olives. So roasted olives are delicious, but you do have to like olives. My sister doesn't like olives. She's probably turned off this episode at this point in time, but you are an adventurous eater, so this is a good one for you. And then these are olives, some green olives and a mixture of kalamata olives. This is a mixture of olives that I just simply pulled from my fridge. I almost always have olives in the fridge. And again, this is a great way to be able to use with roasted meats as well as roasted vegetables. It's got a nice briny, very strong flavor, but it can really pack a flavor punch. And then one of the last things, I also have a Chinese chili oil. This is a favorite in my house. It is essentially red pepper flakes that have been baked in the oven. They've been toasted, and then they've been sitting in a oil. So they've got a really deep flavor to them. It is a bit spicy, but not as spicy as you might think. And it's absolutely delicious on meat in particular. So I really recommend using something like this. And then we also have a red pepper paste. We use this as a marinade in my house for chicken, for fish, for pork. Just simply rub this on the outside of the meat before you're cooking, and it will not only keep your meat moist, but it gives it a really delicious red pepper flavor on the outside. And then finally, there's a whole host of spices that you can use. Two of my go-tos are curry spices, and there's an array of different kinds of blends of curry spice. I tend to like the Madras curry spice, which is a very common yellow curry spice. It's very mild, really nice with things like eggs, as well as chicken. Really, really lovely and perfect for a stir fry. So like I said, these are just some of the things that you'll often see me using whenever I'm trying to cook light in the kitchen, which is pretty much every day. Please let me know if you have any questions at all. I'm here to help. And I really invite you to be able to experiment in the kitchen. I'll include some recipes below for some of these dishes, particularly the curry, and I'll include a tangine recipe that uses the preserved lemon if you'd like. So subscribe if you're interested in seeing what I'm going to be talking about next. And also follow me on Instagram at Good Girls Eat. I'm going to Copenhagen in a couple of weeks, and I know you want to see what those culinary adventures look like. And then coming up this fall, there's a trip to Morocco and Marrakesh and all of those exotic spices. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you in the kitchen.